We'll welcome them to the session. My name is Janice Aki. I'm the Dean of Health, Wellness, and Human Services here at Lakeland College, and I'm excited to have you all here today to learn more about the programs that I hope you've been accepted for September, because we're anxiously awaiting to see your faces in September, let's hope. Just some housekeeping items for today. If you could all keep your microphones on mute unless you did have a specific question. I would ask if you did have a question, if you could type it into the chat, and then as we go through the presentation, if that question resonates with a particular staff member, they can be the one to answer it. But certainly feel free to put those questions in the chat as we go through, as things pop in your head that you want to ask. This is your opportunity to ask those questions and get the answer from the person that can provide you with the best direction. I have some faculty and students here today to guide the presentation and answer the questions as we go. I am going to toss it over to Derek Collins, a faculty member in Human Services, to walk you through a presentation that we have for you and yeah, hopefully answer all the burning questions you have about studying Human Services programs at Lakeland College. So over to you, Derek.
Thanks, Janice. Yeah, so hopefully we can give you some more information about our programs, and I'll talk a little bit, and we've got another instructor on with us as well, and so Nina will be sharing some stuff, but I really want you also to hear from our students who have volunteered to join us and share about their program. And just another reminder too that we are recording this, so if you want to leave your cameras and microphones off, just so that some other people can watch this video later. So we'll get to sharing my screen, and I want this. And Janice, I know I can see you, but if you can give me a thumbs up like that's the PowerPoint's up there. Perfect. Okay, so welcome everybody. Human Services, our program here in Vermilion, and we've got a lot of great information to share about you, and I hope that we can answer some of your questions as we go through. We have some different main programs that we offer. We have the Educational Assistant Certificate, Early Learning Child Care Certificate and Diploma. We have American Sign Language and Deaf Culture Studies Certificate, Child and Youth Care Diploma, a Sign Language Interpretation Diploma, Animal Assisted Wellness Certificate, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, and our Community Mental Health Certificate as well. The one reason that we have right there is why take Human Services with us is our work integrated learning program. We have a condensed semester, 11 weeks of classes, which means is in each semester there's a chance for 4 weeks, and sometimes in the spring 8 weeks of right out there working in the field. And what we like about our program is that while it's condensed for the classes, you get out there and really get immersive. We have a few agencies that like that experience, to have you with them for 4 weeks, really get to know the clients, really get to know the agencies. And we've had a lot of students with those experiences really get an opportunity to even build connections with possible future employers, which is always a plus. We also have an option. In some years in the past, we've run an international practicum, and we'll talk more about that later as well. So as I mentioned, we're going to go through each of these programs: our Child and Youth Care Diploma, Early Learning Child Care, and Educational Assistant program. And I would like for you guys to hear more from the students that are in these programs. Myself, I teach in Child and Youth Care. Child and Youth Care is a big field. We work with people from a lot of different agencies. We're the only program in Canada that we have an animal assisted intervention course as part of our program. But again, I think we should hear more from the students about our program. So I'm going to first call on Kara, I believe is with us. She's a second-year student. So Kara, if you want to join in.
Hi, I'm Kara. It is my second year at Lakeland College. Last year I did do the Early Learning and Child Care Certificate, and I chose to switch to Child and Youth Care just because I feel like I want to help children in more ways when they're older. not necessarily when they're just younger. So in child and youth care, we get to learn about a variety of ages of kids and youth that we'll work with, and we do a lot of practice case studies. I think my favorite activity that we did this year was we got to build brains out of pipe cleaners and straws, and that was really entertaining. And one of my favorite things about Lakeland College itself is that the instructors are super personable and they get to know you by your first name, and they're super helpful when it comes to classwork and things outside of school as well.
Awesome, thanks, Kara. We have some first-year students with us, and in really no particular order. I'm going to start with Diana. If you want to jump in, Diana, and let us know about your experience.
Hi, I'm actually my first year taking child and youth care, and so far it's been really great of an experience. Well, in our first semester, we've got like blended deliveries, so we've got like in-person classes and online classes. So far I've survived online classes, which is really great. I like how like Lakeland accommodates their students. I like how like the staff are really helpful and they're really friendly, and they'll try to like help you as much as they can. And regarding the practicums, for my first practicum, I was based in St. Paul, at their Boys and Girls Club, and it was really I was based in a daycare setting, so it was really great to involve myself with the children, especially like the toddlers, and that's what I like with the human services field, especially child and youth care, because they give you an opportunity to like have an experience with specific or like a variety of practicum placements that you want to be in. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Diana. Bien, it's your turn.
Hi, good morning. This is Bian. I'm in my second semester, first year child and youth care. I'm an international student. What I like about Lakeland College Child and Youth Care Program, firstly, I really appreciate the instructors that are very supportive, and they really encourage their students. And I feel like I feel like it's very fulfilling in my part that as an international student, the teachers are very supportive when it comes to our in-class online class, and in our practicum. So I learned from my teachers in CYC that considering the child and youth care, taking up the child and youth care program, they helped me realize that it's a rewarding work, and in interacting human interaction, in the chance to make a real difference in child and youth care children. It's a meaningful interactions with people, and they give me the chance to and they give me the chance to work with mental health issues um, individuals, and I'm very touched of that one, and I'm very thankful for the child and youth care instructors, especially in the human services.
Awesome, thank you very much, Bien. That's great. And our last student to speak about child and youth care, Shanna, I believe, is on here.
Hi, I'm Shanna, and I'm a first-year CYC student. So I decided to take this program because I've always been really invested and really interested in working with children, but I didn't really know in what capacity I wanted to do that. I have a dream of someday owning and operating an equine assisted therapy center, and so when I found this program, I knew that it fit into what my end goals and dreams were. One of the highlights of this program for me is the practicums. And it can be a little intimidating to think about going into a practicum after only 11 weeks of school, but the staff and teachers at Lakeland College are really good about preparing us for it. For my first practicum, I was in an elementary school working with grade 3 students. It was a great way for me to get introduced into the field and get comfortable. And I'm really excited about my next practicum that starts in a couple of weeks. I get to go work at an equine assisted therapy center. I love that the staff is so supportive of our dreams and our goals, and they really want to work with us to succeed.
Thanks very much, Shanna. That's great. So I hope that gives you a little bit of background into our child and youth care program. And we're going to move on to, come on, there we go. Early Learning and Child Care program. It has, we have a certificate program as well as a diploma program. So 2 practicums again each year and some work integrated learning. And we also have a child center right on site, which is really good. But I would also like to have the students tell you a lot more about this. And we'll start with Maya.
Hi. Oh, wait. There we go, Derek. Hi. I really don't know why I chose this program. Sometimes I think I'm like a child, which is really fun. But we also get to go into the daycare. We haven't this year, but last year we did, which was really fun. And I was talking to Joanne, and there are hopes for next year, if you do take this program, that you can go in the daycare. And some of the highlights are definitely practicums. They're really fun to go into different daycares or even school settings, and it's really fun to learn different things.
Thanks very much, Maya. We're getting a report from the road, it looks like there. So that's that's great that you could join with us. Carissa is also in early learning childcare, a first-year student, and wanted to give her background into the program.
Yeah, hi, I'm Carissa, and I am a first-year early learning and childcare student. I chose this program because I've always had a love for children, and I knew that I wanted to work with kids, but I wasn't quite sure to what capacity I wanted to do that. So I started out with this program to kind of get a feel for working with kids and to see kind of where my where I wanted to go. It's really cool with this program because you get to learn a lot about activity plannings and how to help kids learn and grow from a very young age. The practicums are also a really good experience. I did my first one in a school setting, which was really cool to kind of work with some older kids to kind of get a feel for that. But then this next one, I'll be working in daycare, so it'll be cool to kind of get the more younger side of things. And it is kind of sad we didn't get to go in the daycare this year, but this year it helped us learn that there's more ways to work with kids, and it's been a really fun experience.
Thanks very much, Carissa. It's really nice too in our program that I teach mostly in child and youth care, but it is good to get to, some of our courses are shared between the different programs. So I like that as an instructor, we get to meet some of the different students as well, and the students get to know each other. So let's go on to our next program is educational assistant, and I'm going to call on our Nina, one of our instructors who teaches a lot of courses in this area as well.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to say the educational assistant program is a 1-year certificate program, and we have 2 practicums. They're 4 weeks, and we have like a really good focus. And our program really stands out with our focus on the sensory development and also working with children with exceptionalities. That we offer 2 courses specifically within those programs. And we have other electives that you can choose from. And I thought would it be best is we'd start off with Brianna, who was an alumni student who graduated a few years ago. And then I have 2 current students here that are willing to share as well their experience. So Brianna, can I pass this on to you?
Hi. So I graduated in 2018 from the EA program. A couple highlights from that program that I thought were very, very beneficial. Like the smaller class sizes are great because it not only benefits your education being in a smaller classroom, it benefits your social life because you make friends within your program. You get to know everybody and you get to build excellent relationships with your instructors, because your instructors are there to see you succeed. They're there to set you up for success. One thing that I found really, really great with the EA program is that we had a lot of hands-on experience prior to our practicums. We had done 2 practicums. Some of the hands-on experience that we got was we volunteered at VES, that's the elementary school in Vermilion. And that was great because we got to work with the kids, we got to see what their school days were like, and it also kind of helped us get our foot in the door for potential practicum opportunities. Another really great thing that we had the opportunity to do was work with a speech pathologist. She came in for, I believe it was 2 full classes, so it was about 3-ish hours we got to work with her. And that really benefited us because we took those tools we used and we learned and we used them in our practicum, and in my current career, I'm using them. Another thing with the EA program is you're not just able to work in a school setting, there's other work opportunities. So directly out of graduation in 2018, I started working for the Lloydminster Sexual Assault Center. And then from there, I had job opportunity at the Thorpe Recovery Center, and currently I'm employed with the Lloydminster Public School Division. And all the tools that we learned in school and all the hands-on experience we had prior to practicum are also beneficial. Yeah, I think that program it's good. It's a 1-year program. It's a little bit shorter than the other human services programs, but you learn so much within that 1 year. And coming out of college, you have more opportunities than just working in a school. And yeah, Nina, do you want to take it back?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brianna. That was wonderful. Could I have Daphne and Lise? Could you share your experience currently here at Lakeland College?
Hi, everybody. My name's Daphne. And one thing that I really like about Lakeland is coming from a small town, it's nice that class sizes are so small and that the teachers are so welcoming and kind to all their students. I did my practicum in concert, which is where I'm from, for the first semester. And I actually had a job there, and the staff at Lakeland made it possible for me to count my hours there for my practicum. And another thing about practicum is that if you have a connection for a possible job there for, like, say, second semester, the staff work really hard to allow you to do your practicum so you can get your hours as well as make money or have a wage.
I'm Lise. I love the class size. I met Daphne. She joined halfway through the year. She's a very good friend of mine. I like that the teachers are really welcoming and stuff. Like, they're nice and welcoming. The one thing that is beneficial is that if you have questions, Nina, I have her number, so I can text her if I have just like any questions about homework and stuff. And whenever I was in high school, I worked with the kindergarten classroom my last 2 years, so that was pretty beneficial, and it made me want to become an educational assistant because of all the kids, and they make me laugh, and yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I just wanted to highlight that our program for the educational assistant is a 1-year program, and being 1 year, we get to know each other really well and the community that we build together. And I love the fact that Lise was able to mention how close we all end up becoming with each other. And I'm really going to miss the students that when they graduate, and look forward to new students that are coming in, and also hearing about our alumni as well. Brianna, that's great to hear everything that you've been up to. And thank you for sharing today.
Yes, thank you, everyone. That's really good. So yeah, we have like I mentioned before, it's these great programs, and we really build some really great connections with some of the many different agencies that we work with in all our programs, and a variety of places such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, the men's and women's shelters, addiction services. All these fields are very diverse, and you get a really good experience to see what you want, and also really encourage you to experience a lot of things, but also as you work through your practicums and your other work integrated learning, a chance to narrow down and specialize into what your strengths and talents are. In the past, we've also had some international practicums. I'm going to call on Nina again to talk more about that. She's had some more experience with these trips.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. So we were able to, there's been other countries that students have gone for. It's been Australia, but myself, I was able to go to the Hawaii practicum. And our students were in a number of different program areas specific to the child and youth care, the EA, and early learning care. So they were able to be in daycare at Head Start programs. We had students that were working with the homeless population in Hawaii, and students that were in the EA program that worked in schools directly supporting learners within the schools. The practicum was a condensed, we'll kind of look at, we tried to get 4 weeks for the practicum, but it was a condensed 2 weeks. It's fairly intense being away from home, but we all kind of come together. There were some assignments the students worked on, but yet they were still able to enjoy and experience the Hawaiian lifestyle as well. Hitting the beach, which a lot of students quite enjoyed. Yeah, it was the fundamental part of the international practicum is being able to take the tools that they're learning within their programs and applying it and seeing how it's applicable in anywhere in the world that they're working. I'll pass back to you, Derek.
Okay, thanks, Nina. So we've done a variety of locations, as you've seen, including Hawaii has been the last couple of trips as well, and hoping to move on. One of the other unique programs we have in Human Services is our American Sign Language and Deaf Culture Studies certificate. It's offered part-time face-to-face at the Alberta School for the Deaf, located in Edmonton. But we also have a part-time online program for those that live outside of that area. And it is a way to enhance kind of your programming, because there certainly is a need around there. I believe we have Gail, a student who is part of our sign language interpretation program.
Hi, so my name is Gail. I took this program, I graduated from it last year, and out of all my time in school, this was probably my favorite program. I was previously at the U of A and I took one intro ASL class and just fell in love with the language, so it's definitely a step up from that. You get to learn the students and the teachers at a very personal level. I was in the full-time cohort, so the class didn't feel like a class at the end of the semester. It felt like a family, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but that's just how close we all got as friends. Now I am in the sign language interpreter program, and I'm actually still in the same class with 2 other students from the SLIDS program, and we've become like hopefully lifetime friends. But yeah, like in this program, you learn about the deaf culture and the deaf community, and you really get immersed in it, especially if you're in the full-time cohort, because we're at ASD, so this Alberta School of the Deaf, and yeah, you sign all the time, and it went from the class, was a mix of people who knew sign from previous experience and people who didn't know sign at all. So by the end of the program, we were kind of all at the same level, which was amazing, because looking back now, I really only knew how to sign my name, but now I can consider myself not fluent because I'm always learning, but I can get by in the deaf community. But yeah, I'm really excited that people are still interested in this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. I'm not sure, Janice, if there was more you wanted to add to the American Sign Language or Deaf Culture Studies.
Sure. Well, thank you to Gail for sharing her experience. I do know that in September we are looking to start the full-time program again at ASD in Edmonton, hopeful for face-to-face, but I should temper that with there have been no announcements about how programming will be delivered in September. We will be continuing to follow Alberta Health guidelines, and we're very hopeful that most programs will be able to have a face-to-face delivery in September. We'll certainly update the greater college community and the public in the weeks to come. Sign language is, I guess, as a program option in a face-to-face environment where you'd have to wear face coverings, it's very difficult to do that and learn the language. Your facial expressions are such a big part of the language. It's not just the signing that you would do with your hands, it's also part of your facial expressions. So we do have to be very cognizant of Alberta Health guidelines, and if we are only allowed to be on campus but have to be masked, we may have to look at an online component for sign language. But again, as we know more, we will let you know more. We also offer American Sign Language as a Con Ed option. So Gail made reference to her start in learning the language was completing a ASL 101 course, I guess that, or something similar at the U of A. Lakeland is also offering options for students who just want to dip their feet and get a sense of what learning the language would be all about. So we do have those Con Ed options that we offered this year and will continue to offer next year in a part-time online capacity. But I think we have some students online today who have hopefully applied and been accepted for our September start date of American Sign Language and Deaf Culture Studies, which we will be offering full-time in September. And if there's any questions about that, please type them into the chat. The Sign Language Interpretation Program is a 2-year diploma program that typically follows American Sign Language and Deaf Culture Studies. We refer to that program as our SLIDS program, Sign Language Deaf Studies. Oftentimes, students graduate from that 1-year certificate and enter into the interpreter program, but not always. To enter into the interpreter program, you have to have advanced ASL skills. Typically, students get those skills from a certificate program. There are other individuals who may live in a household with deaf family members, siblings, or have been a part of deaf culture and have known the language for quite a bit of time, so they enter the program that way or come out of province. We do look at a slip intake every 2 years, and we try for that intake to follow graduates from the Deaf Studies program. So we would be looking at an intake in the interpreter program next September. If there's any questions, again, please type them into the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. But for now, back over to you, Derek.
Thanks, and that's a great reminder. We've kind of a whirlwind through our different programs. And so, yeah, don't hesitate that as those questions come to your mind to throw them in the chat. Don't necessarily have to wait to the end as we go through. Mentioned at the start that we are one of the only programs that have an animal-assisted wellness certificate. And so this is a part-time 2-year online post-diploma or certificate. So we ask that you've entering this program, you've perhaps had a degree or a diploma or a certificate in another program. And the idea is using animals, of course, to help with interventions in that. So looking at that bond that animals and humans we all have and using animals in wellness and treatment. It's a very unique program. It's an option offered to our students. Very popular program, and I think there's a lot of opportunities in there. And as Shanna, one of our students, mentioned, she's actually doing a work integrated learning experience in helping in an actual agency that uses animals to help facilitate some change. So that is a unique opportunity that we have right here on our campus. The other mental health certificate is another post-diploma certificate. Again, asking that you come need to have a diploma or another certificate done. And this is a chance that to dive into some bigger issues like understanding trauma, concurrent disorders, alternative therapies, and even infant and toddler mental health. So if you have a diploma or a degree, this is another program that you can take. These are topics also that we cover in a variety of the courses up on the current research around trauma and disorders. Before I get into questions, I also want to take a little bit of an opportunity just to talk about some of the other things that we have on campus that I think just round out. As an instructor, I felt very fortunate that we were able to offer a lot of our programs. They are online, but we also in face-to-face and getting to know the students and interacting. But there's a lot of opportunities outside the classrooms. Lakeland College has a peer tutoring program. So if you're in your first year and you're needing some help in a class, you can be partnered up with somebody who is in second year to help you through that. Or if you have some experience in a class, you can be a peer tutor for somebody else. A new program that we've just started is a peer coaching program. So getting to use our skills more for our second year students to help other students around our campus, and even some promotion around mental wellness. There's lots of clubs on campus to get joined in. There's different facilities. Our rec center and our pool has had some closures this year with COVID, but fingers crossed, like Janice was saying, we don't know what the fall is going to look like, but there are opportunities to join into those things as well. We had some questions I see pop up. When do you think we'll know if we'll be online or persons for the ASL? I'm not sure. Janice, did you want to, any idea of a timeline?
Sure. I hate to say I don't know, but honestly, at this point, Lakeland is awaiting some direction from Alberta Health as to what we may be able to do next year. I will tell you that we've been able to offer many programs face-to-face this past year. The reason why I differentiate ASL programming from others is that mask wearing component. If we can set up our classrooms in such a way that we can distance and put some barriers in place between student desks, then I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a face-to-face offering. But I'm also optimistic that within the next month we'll have some further guidelines and be able to make some better decisions for September. All I can tell you is as soon as we know, we will let you know.
Thanks, Ali. That was a question from Ali. Rianne, hope I'm saying names right. What kind of computer program would you recommend for the early learning child care? I'm going to take a stab at that. I think you're looking, I'm not sure if you're asking what kind of computer, but most of our courses, I know in my classes, we use a lot of Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and those suites. We use Teams. For some of that are online, some of our materials delivered online, so that's just any kind of browser. I can't think of anything special other than the Microsoft products that that would be required. So thanks. I hope that's answered that question. Just throw another comment in there if I didn't quite get that. Next question. Hello, I'm currently taking online classes but interested in EA after the program ends in August, and I understand I have to take, I'm not sure, the IELTS first before applying to your school. I would like to ask, when is the deadline?
Do you want me to take a stab at this, Derek?
Here, thanks, please.
I can turn my camera on. It's always nicer to see who's answering the question. So there is no deadline for applications. Certainly you should put your application in before the program obviously starts, but we accept students on a first come, first qualified basis. So I would recommend that you get your application in sooner rather than later if you have an interest in September. There would be some IELTS testing that you'd have to complete, and you also have to ensure that there are some academic admission requirements that you'd have to meet for programs outside of an IELTS test that you'd have to take. And there's opportunities for you to complete some testing here at Lakeland. So again, all of these conversations will be started with you from Student Services as soon as you apply. So get the application in and we can ensure that you're on the right path to complete all of the documentation you need before a September start.
Thanks. We had another question again. Ali, when will the new student aid applications be up? I think you're referring to if it's student loans and bursaries. It used to be that I was aware, I thought it was around May, June, was it not? That those open up?
Yeah, it's closer to the summer months. Again, Student Services has a financial aid and awards representative that can answer that program probably a little more specifically on dates than we can, but I can put an email address in the chat here of someone you could reach out to ask those questions if that would help.
Great, thanks, Janice. We also have another instructor online with us. Kelly is another one of our instructors, and she does an amazing job in a lot of different areas. And one of the areas, of course, is our work integrated learning placements. Kelly, can I put you on the spot? I don't know if you wanted to add in any comments or. Maybe I put Kelly too much on the spot there. That's okay. So there are different ways. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. Facebook, Instagram, Lakeland College, or we do have some contact information. Feel free to keep throwing in some comments in the chat if you have anything else about our program. Janice just threw up Financial Aid and Awards, Lindsay Gorkoff here at Lakeland College, and the email address is there in the chat. And I think that kind of, we've, wow, blown through. Any word about, oh, UPass is a question that came up. Any possible, Ali, did you have, maybe want to add into the chat section what you're looking for there? I think with the UPass. I know the University of Alberta and some other places have UPass for transit. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. Okay, I know with there are some benefits that you being a college student have. You have some access. When I mentioned the Microsoft Suite Office, students get access to that. Actually, that's something that you don't need to purchase. That's part of your login here with Lakeland College, and so you have access to that. There are some other like passes to the recreation center I've mentioned. I think that's what I hope that's what you're referring to. And so I hope that answers your question. Another question regarding practicums. Do we get to choose to have our practicums here in Lloyd, or do we have to do it in other places? Our practicums and work integrated learnings, we work, and Kelly, like I mentioned, is one of our coordinators for that. But we do practicums in a lot of different locations. We have had students who do them here in Vermilion. We have partnerships with agencies in Lloydminster, but we've also had students that head back to either their hometowns or other places that they have connections with all across Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia. We've had students do in. Kelly could even speak perhaps to some of the other locations, but there are a lot of other places. When you mention being at your own expense, we do want to keep expenses down. So if there's another community, perhaps you've got friends, families that you can stay with, make that certainly available. Or as I mentioned, some of our practicums, especially near the end, they turn into working practicums. So you're actually working in the field as you finish off your practicums, and so you get to finish that out. Question. Hope I answered that question about placements. What about parking at Alberta School for the Deaf? Great question. It's been a long time since I've been able to visit the Alberta School for the Deaf, so I'm going to throw that to Janice.
There is parking available. It is on a first arrive, first get basis, I guess you could say. We don't have allocated parking for our students at ASD, but there have been spots for students to park. They've done major renovations at ASD over the last year or so, and the parking lot has become smaller. There's a road in front of ASD where students can park, and there's a road adjacent to ASD where students can park. There is a sectioned off parking lot for instructors at ASD. Is construction complete now? That I don't know, and I'll have to be honest, because of COVID, we haven't been at ASD for a while now. They were building, I think, a playground, and I think that construction is still ongoing for Alberta School for the Deaf, but the actual construction of the building itself, I'm pretty sure that's complete, but there's definitely some construction happening outside. ASL classes for American Sign Language and Deaf Culture Studies. The schedule has not been determined yet. Usually we work on that schedule in the spring and the summer, and we'll notify students again as soon as we know. You will be completing 4 courses in the first semester. We have had a combination of daytime and evening classes. It really does depend on instructor availability. We will try to have those classes as close together as possible and keep a consistent schedule so that students don't have to be back and forth in the morning and the evening. But yeah, we'll get that out as soon as we can.
All right, if there's any other questions. When do residence applications come out? Excellent question. I believe they can apply for residence right now as part of their, I shouldn't speak for sure on that.
And that's a question I haven't had before, and I don't know the answer. I would agree with Derek that I thought that would be something that you could look into now. Again, residence services or student services would be able to give you some direction on answers to those questions. So I would certainly reach out to student services and see who you could contact about that. Oh, perfect. There's a session at 11:30.
That's great. I just assumed that you could apply already because I know some of our returning students have said they've already talked about or they know what part of the dorm they're staying in next year. So great. Thanks, Suzanne, for letting us know that 11:30 a residence session coming up. I
do want to point out that Suzanne has added some video links in the chat, and I would certainly encourage you all to visit those links. We've got some great video that will highlight our programs, our facilities, and give you some more information that, and hopefully answer any additional questions that you may have had. Give you a little glimpse into life at Lakeland College.
Yeah, those are really great resources as well. You might have to scroll up in there in the chat. I don't know if it's easy for Suzanne to throw them in here again and a little down. Sometimes it's hard for people to scroll back, but thank you. Look at Suzanne's awesome. She keeps us all rolling very well. And she's another one of the amazing parts of being on campus here because, yeah, she just keeps everything together, and swinging by the office to see Suzanne is always a highlight.
And I guess as we wrap up, before we go, I do want to take a second to thank our faculty, Derek and Nina, for being online today. Kelly Mazerol, who's online as well, and a big shout out to Suzanne for the work in putting this online presentation together for us. Derek is quite right. If you do have the opportunity to be on campus, you will come to appreciate Suzanne, as we all do. I also want to give a big shout out and a thank you to the students who took part today. I think it's so beneficial for future students to hear from current or graduating students about their experience, and we can talk all day about how great we think our programs are, but nothing is as true as hearing it from the students themselves, and we really appreciate the time you took to be here. And yeah, thank you, thank you.
We've got one other question. Do we know if we are online? It's a whole thing. I guess we, like as Janice said, we fingers crossed we see a light at the end of the tunnel and classes can be face-to-face again. I don't want to jinx things if we say that, while something changes over the summer and we find out that we're online again. I know this year with courses when we were partially online and some other, even some other departments here at Lakeland College, that my understanding is that loans and grants work just the same way. I haven't heard anything different on that. So fingers crossed, though, that's something we don't have to consider, but that's another good question to when planning. Oh, we're not hearing you, Janice.
Sorry, that's the word of the year, isn't it? I'm our phrase of the year. You're on mute. Hopefully we won't have to use that phrase next year and we will all be face-to-face, but as Derek says, time will tell. I think he makes a good point in reflecting on this past year. We, in human services specifically, we've done as much as possible in a face-to-face environment. We've been able to have class sizes that met the capacity limits. Students did have to wear masks in the classroom. We did have some classrooms with plexiglass between students sitting at, I guess, big long tables, but we could maintain the distancing that we'd need to maintain for Alberta Health Guidelines and teach in a face-to-face environment in a safe way. I'm hopeful that with vaccine rollouts happening, I hope we're going to be in a situation in September where we can continue in a face-to-face environment, but again, we're at the mercy of Alberta Health, and just as you're awaiting to hear some direction, as are we. And yeah, I sound like a broken record, but as soon as we know more, you'll know more.
And as Suzanne pointed out in the chat, there will be a session at 11:30 on financial aid. So that's really good too. Hope people can attend that if they have further questions. Okay, I again appreciate everybody taking their time out of today to join us, the staff, but mostly all of those of you that have attended to learn something, and I hope we've been able to answer your questions. Thank you, everybody. This has been it's been an interesting year, but I've really enjoyed it as well, and looking forward to our next year as well.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.